Hello everyone, welcome back to the Curious Shelf. You're joining me on a warm, overcast day in Brussels. The temperatures have finally dropped. We're I think around the 75 Fahrenheit mark. We had about a month between 80 to 100 Fahrenheit exactly. So you're gonna have to excuse me, that's why you haven't been seeing so many videos. I think I explained that already, but it was roasting and I just was not in a video filming kind of mood. Again, the windows are open, but I just need that for air. But hopefully you can hear me okay. And I just thought I'd do a short video because I know some people really enjoyed the deck FOMO video. That was a tag produced by Tarot and Witchery. And since that video was, some people really did enjoy it or they found it helpful, I thought I would really expand upon kind of like, and do 13 things to think about before you press buy on a tarot deck, whether it's indie or mass market, doesn't matter. And the number 13 because I love the number 13. I'm a bit of a witch, I think, and that's why I just thought 13, the baker's dozen, perfect for me. And again, these are not musts. Maybe these apply to you, maybe they don't. Maybe you find some of these relevant and some not. You just got to take it with like whatever suits you. I'm not here as like some kind of regulator or police. It's more tips, and just also trust me when I say I have broken all of these. So this is from my own experience. This is not me speaking from some high moral ground. This is from my own experience. So, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna break all of these again at some point, but it's just kind of like a list that might be handy for you. And as I go through each one, I'm just going to like talk off the cuff a little bit about that particular point. Hopefully, I'm going to try and keep this short and you can hear me okay, even though it's noisy. But I'm going to try and talk as loud as I can. Okay, so 13 things to think about before you hit buy on a tarot deck. 1, where does it sit within your budget? So again, you need to think about kind of like, you can think about if you have a monthly budget, a yearly budget, a seasonal budget, maybe like for summer or for winter, where does it sit within your monthly budget, whatever? And also where might it sit within your overall household budget or plan or spending plan, however you want to put it, and see what's right for you in that sense. So I'm not here putting down any rules of like percentages or $20 or $50 or $100. No, because everybody varies on what's right for them. And so I'm just going to respect that, but rather, this is about however you calculate your spending, where does it sit within that? Okay, number 2, do you have something similar? So this is a good time to go into your shelves and just see if you have something of similar energy. For example, I'm someone that loves Fae decks. I will, like, when I see a Fae deck that I like, I'm honed in on it. And very likely I will want to buy it or I will buy it. But one thing I do these days is because I love them so much is I do go into my shelves and like look through the Fae decks I have going, just want to make sure that I don't have something very similar. Now with Fae decks, there aren't so many I think on the market. I think they're there, but not as many as I personally would like. I would like more. But again, it just goes back to, is it an aesthetic or a type or a variety where maybe I've got a lot and then I start to see something like, oh yeah, it looks really similar to, I don't know, the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, or it looks very similar to the theme of the Good Tarot, or something like that. And then I start to think, do I need to press buy? So that's another tip. Number 3, how does it fit in with your practice? So and a good example of that is me and cosmic decks. Now, I know that the Moonchild and Starchild are all very popular. Then we have the Lioness, and now we have the Talisman, all these collage decks, and some of them very cosmic. And there's the Voyager Tarot and all these kind of decks. I think somebody's just, sorry, either that's a wedding or somebody's just won a football match. But anyway, so basically, where does it fit in with your practice? That's number 3. So going back to the cosmic decks, now that was like a whole new territory for me this year. And I was really, really cautious in not taking a bunch of money and buying a whole load of decks, because that's the kind of thing I'd like to do. So I wanted I could maybe go mass market and buy the Starseed, or go and buy, I don't know, an indie and buy the Moonchild and then get a few, that kind of thing. And I was really, really cautious of that because I thought, I'm not sure how these are going to sit with my vibe personally. Nothing wrong with the creators, nothing wrong with the decks, nothing wrong with those who love them. It's more kind of like, I just didn't want to go and binge on something and a theme that I'm not too sure about. Now, that doesn't mean that the very first tech of that theme that I buy, you know, whether I love it or not, that's going to determine the whole theme. No way. But it does give me sometimes a flavor of like, do you like this? Do you want more? Like, do you want to try something else? I ask myself these questions. So again, where does it fit with your practice? You know, if I'm somebody that's more of an ocean person, an ocean deck makes sense to me. I personally am not. So if I'm more of a woodland person, I might want 1 or 2 ocean decks, but is 10 going to be right for me? I don't know. So anyway, that's kind of like some questions. Other questions could be, if you're following a specific path, perhaps you're following the Wheel of the Year, perhaps you're following the pagan, perhaps you're following more something that's closer to Buddhism and beliefs of you know, philosophies such as Buddhism and traditions such as Buddhism. Maybe you're somebody who likes more the Western traditions or so forth. The point is where does it fit in with your practice and where you are in your practice, because we're all evolving. So again, you know, you don't have to say, well, I liked this 5 years ago and I'm now going to stick to it. Just again, where your trajectory is and does it fit with that right now. So that was so number 4, what will you pair it with? Now, this was one I was thinking of because there are some decks that I have which are very standalone and they don't really pair a lot with other decks. For example, I found that with my Robert M. Platt decks, I find them more standalone. What you find more standalone, I might not, and vice versa. So that was just an example. You might also enjoy having standalone decks that you just read by themselves. I personally like doing tableaus and having mixes. So for me, at some point in my shelf curation, I have had to think about where is it going to fit in with something else or pairings. Now, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But this is part of like the whole to think about before we buy, because if it doesn't fit in with something, am I going to then buy like it's tarot or oracle or another tarot oracle to go with it just so it has a pairing? Because that's another expenditure I'm just about to make again. So, you know, that's something really that I'm very conscious of. Like, if it's not going to fit in with anything, am I going to be okay with it, or am I then going to somehow convince myself to buy something else that fits with it? So that's another one. Or alternatively, what you could do is when you see a deck that you want to buy, is then go through your shelves and actually look at like where can I pair it with something else. So that's another tip. Number 5. And this taps into the deck FOMO video, but you know, I just want to repeat it again. Are you buying it because somebody else has it? A friend, a tarot tuber, somebody on Insta? Are you buying it because there's this need of wanting to join in and talk about it? Like, this deck, everybody's talking about it and they're showing it on their channel, or they're photographing it, and I need to have it just to be with the cool crowd. Because that's fine, but if it leaves you feeling then sick afterwards, then you might want to think about that. So I definitely suffer from that. Like, I'm not immune to it, but that's where I have to really make myself wait and sometimes sit on something before I press buy. Okay, when do you think you're going to use it? So this is number, sorry, I just want to make sure I read the list. So I'm going to switch them around because I've mixed up my own list. No, okay, so when do you think you're going to use it? Are you going to use it, I'm just making a note of something. Are you going to use it next week, next month? I certainly find this is very important for me because I will see a deck and it's beautiful and I'm thinking, but I'm not going to use it until the summer and I'm in the middle of winter. And that might be working out for me fine because it's like on sale and I'm like, oh my God, but I'm going to save a lot of money. Perfect, fine. But I do need to think about that, because if it's long into the future, if it's into the fantasy future of, I think I'm going to use it in winter 2023, that's actually next year, sorry. But you know what I mean, like autumn 2023, then it's going to be like, yeah, that's like a year away. Like, wait, do I want 20, 50, 100 euros sitting in something that I'm not going to even touch for another year? It's kind of like those beautiful dresses that we buy because they're on sale and we're spending 50 euros and we're thinking, oh my God, it was like 180, I managed to get it for 50. But it's a dress that I'm never going to wear until I go to that fantasy cocktail thing in about 3 years' time, where I'm okay with like hopefully my tummy doesn't show or something. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but you know what I'm saying, like it's not real actually. And you know, is that tarot deck going to be kind of like that mythical moment of use? There you go. I definitely have decks like that, so that's why I'm very, very cautious. Again, mistakes. So this was the other one. Can you wait, or can I wait? Can the person wait before purchasing? Because if you can, that's really good, because it gives you really good breathing power. You know, I've talked about this in Deck FOMO, the 72-hour rule. If you can wait just a few days, the buffer between buying and not buying, that could just, it could really make a difference. I had that recently on a tarot deck, an indie deck that I've been wanting for about a year. And I know people who have it, and I know people who don't have it, and I know people who said, you've been wanting it for ages, go and buy it. That's what they say to me. And anyway, I have waited and waited and waited. And one of the reasons why I waited, and this was key to it, was whenever I watched a review, I understood that some of its manufacturing, the way what it is, I just didn't like. And I realized that, and it's expensive. So basically, when it appeared here in Europe finally for me to buy, I was about to buy it, and I asked another tarot tuber their update on like how are they getting along with it, and they actually, you know, said yeah, they're having trouble with something. So anyway, I won't go into it too much because I don't want to be like a Debbie Down or whatever, you know, or a moaner on something, and then people feel bad about whatever they have. You know, that's not the point of it. The point was like, I kind of like wanted to really be clear before, and you know, that pause before I had it in my basket. I wanted to press buy, and I paused, and I was just like, I might just wait for another edition. So there you go. Number 8. Are you buying it just because it's on sale? Now, this is a bit of a strange one, because there are times where I've seen a deck and I don't want to pay the full price. And the reason I don't want to pay the full price is because it is overpriced. I have that with some decks where I'm like, yikes, that's really overpriced. So I will wait for it to be on sale. But there are times when I've seen a deck which I've had absolutely no interest in, and it's on sale, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I could try it. It might fit in with this. You know what? I was planning in November to use that theme, and because I was planning to use that theme, this would then really fit in with that, and it's so cheap right now. And you know, when I start doing that and I start rationalizing a purchase for a deck that I had never planned to buy, and then creating a space for it, it was like, oh dear, like I'm in trouble. And you know, it's a bit of a gamble because you might miss out on a sale. But I always say to think about that one. There are times also where I've seen a deck and I'm like, okay, it's 30 euros or it's 45 euros. I know I've seen a, you know, a reduced price at like 28 euros sometimes on sale. I'd rather wait for that sale. I think that's legitimate. But it's when I try to rationalize the purchase when I'm like, okay, that's going all pear-shaped now. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting one. Number 9. Is this a system? Is the deck a system that after you buy the deck, you have to learn the system? And I want to be really clear about that one. That happens, and especially with, I've noticed with Lenormand, because Lenormand decks are cheap, it's so easy to buy the deck because it's beautiful. It's images that there's also a tarot version. It's just like, oh, I'd love to have that Lenormand. But I have 3 Lenormand decks. I have the Gilded Reverie by Ciro Marchetti, which I love. I love that deck because it's so beautiful. I don't know how to read Lenormand, but I just love that deck because it's gorgeous. I think it's his best deck ever, actually. I have Mystical Lenormand. It's I think it's a German creator. And then there's a 3rd Lenormand, which I can't even remember I have. Oh, I have a fairy one by, oh no, now her name has gone out of my mind. She's done beautiful Fae deck, which is out of print right now. I think she's done the Victorian Romantic something. Her name has gone out of my mind. Lisa Hunt, I have her Lenormand. And I remember I bought these Lenormand decks, like this was like in 2020 or something like that, you know. And I remember stopping myself at one point, just after, like, I think it was the Ciro Marchetti one. I was like, no, wait, you need to learn Lenormand though. And then I realized, I said to myself, the next time I buy a Lenormand deck, it can only be with a book that I've planned to put time in my schedule to learn the system. Otherwise, I'm not buying a Lenormand deck. So there's nothing against Lenormand, but it's to do with the whole buy. But it's like, I don't even know the system. Like, wait, what am I going to do with it? And so it's again a fantasy. Now, I've seen people read with the Lenormand, they mix it with the tarot, they do fantastic readings. I've been the recipient of such a reading, really well done. So I think that there's a lot of value in Lenormand decks, but unless I'm committed, I'm wary about buy. You know, it's like me and Tarot de Marseille. I have the book, I read it, I have a few Marseille decks. There's a few others that I would like to get, but I'm not going to buy 10 Marseille decks. It's not really the system for me, but I love the history of it and I love reading about it and I love doing studies on it, but I don't need 10 decks like that in order to embrace it. A good 6, 7 beautiful ones. There's some indie Marseille ones that I want as well. I've got my eye on them. I think that's going to really already fill me quite a bit. And then, you know, I've also got, you know, the one from Deviant Moon from Patrick Valenza. So for me already, I'm already getting to like my height of Marseille decks that I love. And I don't need to fill the shelves with them. Not because they're not beautiful, they're not worthy or anything like that, but it's more to do with, do I dedicate the time for it? And that's to do with systems. Okay, so moving on from there, number 10. So this is the interesting one. Number 10, is it a cardstock I like? Now, I know that Dawn Michelle over at Boho Tarot did a fantastic rant on cardstock, which I completely agreed with. It's not necessarily about, you know, that deck or that cardstock, but just, you know, cards that just, the stock is just abysmal. And I'm just like, why did I spend my money? And I've got that with indie decks and I've got that with mass market decks. I do treat my decks as carefully as I can because all of a sudden, if I know it's a cardstock I don't like, I know about 7 to 8 times out of 10, it's gonna go. It's not gonna last very long in the collection. And I had that with, as you all know, with the Marielle 2nd edition. Okay, we'll just get, that was a brief moment of thinking about that. Let's get past that. But you know, it's just something really that I've kind of like, I check now. If it's a cardstock, I'm not gonna like, and I'm not gonna say you should like this or like that because it all varies. Some people don't like the Llewellyn cardstock. Some people love it. Some people don't like the shiffer. Some people are okay with it. We all vary. Even within those cards, sometimes we vary as well. The decks that we like and we don't like because of the cardstock. It just, sometimes there's a tactile thing and you just notice something and it's just like, this is not working for me. So, you know, everyone to their own, each their own. I know some people love the rose petal finish and some people like, it's clumpy, I can't shuffle, I can't do anything with this, it's not for me. So I'm not going to tell you what you should like or not, but rather like just check, and that's why YouTube videos are good for that one. So, and also size, sorry, within the same question is it a size? Because I know this sounds really strange that size matters, but I'm someone that, you know, the Wild Unknown Pocket Edition, that's my first pocket deck of tarot. I think maximum in my lifetime, if I get to 5 pocket decks, that's already gonna be enough for me. I don't really like pocket decks. So I don't plan on buying like a dozen or something. There's a pocket deck I'd like to get because I love the actual normal one, which is the Everyday Witch. So I'd like to get the Everyday Witch in pocket as well so I can carry it. But I don't see myself having like 10 pocket decks. I think if I have 3 or 4, it's gonna be like, oh god, that's plenty already. I just don't really love them. But you know, again, it's not saying that you shouldn't, but it's rather like, is this a size that you want to work with? You know, some people don't like really large cards. They're like, oh my god, dinner plates, I don't want it. So, you know, either that would be prepared to, you know, get the guillotine and start chopping off the sides and do a border job. So there you go. Number 11. So this is an interesting one. Will you feel bad buying it? And this is not just monetary, but this is also the clutter and the space on your shelves or wherever you're hanging them or stacking them or whatever. Will you feel guilty because you can't pay for something because you've gone and bought it? Or will you feel guilty because it's going to add clutter to an area that you already know has got way too much stuff in it? Just something to think about. Number 12. Hang on a second, I need to. So would you be ready to let go of something else in order to make space for it? And I've thought about this one because there are times when I've wanted a deck and I've realized if I've got too much, I'm going to have to make space. So I have to let something go. And that's when I have to really think how much of it is that I want it. So that's a big one for me. And next to that, you know, is, and this is actually more important. Sorry, I'm going to reframe this one. So number 12, scrap that. This is actually even more important. Number 12 is if you're going to buy it, before you buy it, go to your wish list and see all the decks on your wish list, including that beautiful indie one that's, I don't know, rare and $150 right now somewhere on eBay, or just that one that you know that's coming out mass market in December, and you'd be like, oh, I'd really like to get that, and it's $30 or whatever. And ask yourself, the one that you're going to buy, do you want that more than the one that's on your wish list? And it's really, really good, because the way I think about it is that when I buy the one that's right in front of me, I've actually delayed buying what's on my wish list. And I need to think about that sometimes. Like, I've just made the one on the wish list even further away now again, because that's the money that's now been rediverted to the one that I'm just about to click buy on. And I've done that, but I just thought it'd be helpful to think about. And number 13, I'm going to stop here on number 13, our Baker's Dozen, which is the famous one that had brought me to this video in the first place. Number 13, my lucky number, which is what is your mental state or my mental state when I'm buying that deck? Is it because I'm having a down moment? Is it because I want to celebrate and I want to do a purchase to celebrate? Is it because I'm bored? Is it because, you know, somebody else has it and I want, you know, all of those things? But just to ask your mental state when you're buying it, and I do that too. And this is what brought me to this video again. So you know, this is at 22 minutes. I'm going to stop here. Hopefully some of these are helpful. I've got like more of these actually, but I just don't want to make huge long videos that I think are just going to creep people out. But you know, good to see you all. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Thank you for bearing with me on this channel. You know, as I haven't been able to video that much, I keep looking out the window. It's very overcast today and it's cooler, but we had nights where we were at 90 Fahrenheit throughout the night, and it was just like unbearable, you know, given the fact that we don't have also aircon and fans and stuff. So, you know, thank you for bearing with me. If you can understand the situation here, that I just felt like fried and I was just taking some time out. And you know, I'm really, really grateful to the viewers on this channel. You're very kind and always supportive and uplifting, and I really like the community here and the friends that I've made as well. So thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care now. Bye.